In this episode, I talk about how we learn, how we develop skills. Because if we can understand it, we can do it far more effectively, and naturally, we're going to do it more effectively because we actually understand it. Because for most people, even though they've been learning through the school system for 10, 15, 20 years, they still don't understand, okay, how does the learning process, how does our mind go from, yes, I don't know this, to I do know this. So in this episode, I actually talk about that, how we learn, how to develop skills, and then how you can do it more effectively. Welcome to episode 9 of the Accelerated Achievement Show. Episode 9, very excited to share about this topic. This has been my passion, this has been an obsession for a number of years about how do we learn, how do we develop skills. Over the last 5 years, I've had the privilege of traveling all around the world, across 3 different continents, speaking on stages now, and using these accelerated achievement tools to be able to help people and help thousands and thousands of students. It comes from deeply understanding how do people learn most effectively. Because as I just said, we go through the education system for 10, 15 years, yet at the end of that time, most people still don't understand how we learn. And it's my belief that if we can understand something, it's kind of like if you're a plumber and you understand how plumbing works, you're going to be a better plumber. If you understand how business works, you're going to be a better business owner or businessman or woman. If you understand how you learn, you're going to become a faster learner, faster than the vast majority of people, just by simply understanding it, by doing nothing else. So let's jump into it. How do we learn? We learn through something called feedback loops. Meaning if you're learning a topic, let's say, or you're learning a skill. Let's say you're learning how to play basketball. That's a skill. If John is learning how to play basketball, the way John is learning is he's learning through feedback loops. Meaning he shoots a basket, he takes an action, and then he gets a certain result that either it goes in or misses or it's close or it's completely off. Whatever it is, he gets a result, and then in his brain, those two things match. Those two things match, the action and the result. And it's about tying those links. So the reason some people are masterful at what they do, people in sports, people like Federer in tennis, or people like Michael Jordan in basketball, whatever it is, in sports or in business or in arts and crafts, whatever industry it is, the reason some people are masterful is simply because they've accumulated over their years and years of training and learning, they've accumulated thousands and thousands and thousands of distinctions, in other words, feedback loops, so they're able to achieve a result far more predictably and achieve far greater things. Because they have these feedback loops. That's how they learn, whether they know or not, but that's how they're learning. So they take a certain action. Say Michael Jordan training in the morning, he shoots, he has a certain action, those two things link together. Then he moves his foot slightly while he tests something new, takes a new action. Goes and achieves a different result. It's either a great result, and that's a positive change, or it's a worse result, a negative change. Then he jumps a different way, takes a different action, different result. Feedback loops create another distinction. It's that accumulation of distinctions that gets people to learn. So knowing that stuff. So if you're learning something new, chances are you have very few distinctions about that. If you're learning how to be a great leader, or if you're learning how to cook, you have very few distinctions about, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? Meanwhile, the masters, they have finite distinctions about, okay, this ingredient goes well with this quantity. They're very specific, they're very detailed because they know. And I'm researching these highest achieving people in the world, it's this accumulation of distinctions. So if you want to understand learning, and I hope that this episode does that for you and helps ingrain that and helps you have a greater understanding of how we learn, how we develop skills. You need to understand, first thing is, it's all about accumulation of these distinctions, these feedback loops, these matches of action and result. And the faster that feedback loop happens, the faster you can develop that skill. The faster it's possible to develop that skill. Meaning, let's go back to the basketball example. This is the basketball mood. Let's go to that example. You're shooting a basket, you take an action, and about 0.21 seconds later, you have a result. It either goes in, or you miss, or it's close, or it hits the rim, or it goes completely off. Whatever result is, but you have a result. And it's that speed. The faster that feedback loop happens, the faster it's possible to learn that skill. On the contrary, let's say you're running marketing, you're learning how to become better at marketing at a top agency. You put out an advert, and maybe in traditional media, outdoor media, let's say you're doing billboards, you may not be able to see the result from that action until 4 weeks later. That dramatically slows down your ability to learn that skill. It's a far harder skill to learn. Now, if you go into social media, you can accelerate that feedback loop because you take an action, and 1 day later or a few hours later, you have a result. And the faster that feedback loop happens, the faster it's possible to learn a skill or develop a skill or a topic. So the faster it is. So next thing, the triangle of skill development. The way we all develop skills. If you want to become a master of what you do, and that's the journey that I'm on to becoming a master of that's why I do this. That's why I travel around the world and share and speak on stages, to become a master at what I do. And if you want to become a master at what you do, studying the world's highest performance people, here's the triangle of skill development. Here's how all skill development happens, and here's how people become good. So when you start off learning a skill, whatever skill you're learning, if Mary decides that she wants to learn handwriting analysis or NLP or tennis, if she wants to learn that, she starts off her journey kind of at zero. She doesn't know anything about that topic. Then to get to the first level of improvement, there's only a few big distinctions. Let's say you're playing tennis. One big distinction might be, okay, holding the racket, how to hold the tennis racket. Another one might be, okay, how to just hit a ball. It's not even about aiming at the beginning, it's about hitting it. How do you hit the ball over the net? Those are the two key distinctions. Once she gets those two distinctions, she can move to the next level of improvement. She's on the next level. She knows how to return a ball. That's her next level of skill development. That might take half an hour. That's very basic there. Then the next level after that, there's more distinctions. So first level might be 2 core distinctions, holding the racket and returning it. Next level, there might be 8 different distinctions. So the distinctions might be, okay, getting it over, but onto the court, over to Peter on the other side of the tennis court. So how to get it over. Next one might be, okay, how to switch the racket from the 2 hands. So it's like 8 different distinctions. She has to learn those. Then, the higher the level of the skill is, you're on the other side of this triangle now. The higher the level of your skill that you already are, to get to the next level of skill, there is many, many more distinctions. So back to this triangle here. At the start, there's only a few key distinctions. At the top here, there is many, 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 many different distinctions. If someone's like top class, they are great at what they do, and they want to get even better, they have to look into the finite details. For example, Gordon Ramsay improving his ability to cook is very different from Mary cooking for the first time. She looks at the big picture stuff, the big obvious distinctions, the obvious feedback loops that there are. Compared to Gordon Ramsay, he's looking into finite details. He's measuring out 2 grams of salt versus 3 grams of salt in this dish. It gets into finite, thousands and thousands of little distinctions of these feedback loops. 2 grams of salt gets this result. 3 grams of salt gets this result here. And then those feedback loops happening. That's how we learn skills. That's how we develop skills. One of the biggest things I'm shocked about, the reason I do this show, one of the reasons I'm shocked that we go through and we learn so many different skills. And for most people, they don't understand how to learn. And I hope that this adds value, that you're now aware of how you're learning and how you can actually learn the skills that you want to learn. Whether you want to learn more in business or in marketing or social media or tennis or ping pong or cooking or painting, whatever skill you want to learn, now that you're learning it, I want you to consciously focus on these feedback loops, on this myelination, as some people call it. There's a great theory, and it's written in the book The Talent Code, that talks about the theory of myelination. How we develop skills, it's essentially kind of like a wire. And you're wrapping that wire with, for example, let's use this metaphor of tape. Imagine a wire and you're wrapping it with tape. And every time you do something, you're strengthening that tape. You're wrapping it thicker and thicker and thicker, that wire, and you're able to trigger that at any time. So the reason the people that are masterful and great at what they do, they're able to, at any moment, just kind of go into that zone, be able to at any moment be fully present with what they're doing and be able to execute at a great level. For example, if you're beginning at tennis, you may not be able to instantly serve effortlessly. But Federer, he's done it thousands and thousands and thousands of times. He can do it blindfolded because he's myelinating that pattern. He's done it so much that he's wrapped that in tape. Now, it's not actually tape being wrapped in your brain, just so you're aware of that. Don't want you saying, Bogdan, there's tape in my brain. It's not about there being tape in your brain. It's just a metaphor of what happens in your brain. It's the theory of myelination. But it's essentially the same thing as those feedback loops. So that's how you learn. That's how you're developing skills. Linking action and result. So what was your biggest takeaway from this episode? What was your biggest takeaway from what we covered in this episode? Whether it's myelination, whether it's these feedback loops, and speeding up those feedback loops helps you accelerate and be able to more rapidly learn a skill, learn a topic. Whether it's about this triangle of skill development, these distinctions about how you progress in your level of skill. What was your greatest learning from this episode, from episode 9 of the Accelerated Achievement Show? Comment below with your biggest takeaway. What was your one biggest lesson that you can apply? And I hope that after watching this, now you have an understanding, you're more conscious next time you learn. Because I'm a huge believer that skills are one of our biggest differentiations in our success. A lot of people buy into hard work or smart work, and both of those are hugely important. Don't want to underestimate. Hugely important, but at the same time, if you're working hard and you're using productivity skills, but you're in the area of marketing and you suck at marketing, you're not going to succeed. Sorry to put that upon you, but you need to actually have those skills there. The highest performing people are coincidentally, you can research this on your own, but they're the people that are highest skilled people as well. They know stuff. They deserve that success because they put in the work developing those skills. So, hope this gave you a great understanding of how we develop skills, and I hope you use this in your skill development, because I believe you're only a few skills away from your success, those key skills that you can develop. So if you're developing skills and you're learning topics in your business or career, apply this. Comment below with your biggest takeaway. If you like this, enjoyed this episode, found it useful, share it with other people that will find this incredibly useful, and like it below if you enjoyed this episode. Also subscribe and stay tuned for more episodes of the Accelerated Achievement Show.
Achievement accelerated with the Accelerated Achievement Show.